Children, so once again revision session, questions and answers. From which lesson? Yes, tsunami. So let's begin. The first question. What is a tsunami? When did it hit so many countries and sea coasts? So now let's have a look at the answer. A tsunami is a very large and powerful wave. Yes, we have come across this in the lesson. It is a very big, huge wave. And it is very powerful. That is the reason it washes away everything. It uproots the trees, it destroys the lives. That is the reason it is said to be very, very powerful. It is caused by earthquakes under the sea. Yes, this also we have learnt, isn't it? It is very much there in the chapter. It is caused by earthquakes. And where do these earthquakes happen? It happens under the sea. The deadly tsunami hit Thailand, India and the Andaman Islands on 26 December 2004. So that was a very horrible, deadly tsunami. So many lives were lost, so many things were destroyed. Now we move on to question number 2. Do animals get the second question now? Do animals get foreknowledge of tsunami coming? Do they come to know beforehand, before it actually happens? Yes, this also we have come across in the chapter. What? That they have something called sixth sense. They are able to sense that disaster. So very quickly they run to safer places. That is why hardly any animal life is lost in such natural disasters. Yes, it is true that animals sense the coming disaster earlier than human beings. It became evident in 2004. It is clearly mentioned in the story, the chapter Tsunami. The tsunami killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries. But very few animals were reported dead. Buffaloes, goats and dogs remained unharmed. Most of the animals were unharmed. So did elephants and leopards. That is, we can say almost all animals are unharmed. Why? Because they are able to sense it beforehand. What do? You know, children, they run away to higher places, to safer places. And that is how they are able to save their lives. So we can say that animals are very clever. They have that intelligence in them. Yes, that is why they are able to sense it. Question 3. Who was Ignatius? Why did he put his television down on the ground from table? So why did he put his television down on the ground? Let's see. Let's have a look at the answer. Ignatius was the manager of a cooperative society in Kachal. When his wife told him about an earthquake, he immediately took his television set off his table and put it down on the ground so that it would not fall and break. Because you know what happens in earthquakes, if it is a severe one, things start shaking and falling, and obviously if such things happen, the costly items are likely to break into pieces. Okay, now we move on to the next question. Now question number 4. Okay. How did Sanjeev lose his life? Remember, Sanjeev was a policeman? Yes. When Sanjeev heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. So, who was John? John was the cook of the guest house. He immediately jumped into water to rescue her. So, he jumped into water. Why? To rescue John's wife. She was shouting for help. Yes. But unfortunately, they were both swept away by the powerful waves. I told you earlier, children, the waves of tsunami are very, very powerful. So powerful, even if you are a good swimmer, you will not be able to withstand that powerful wave of what? Wave of tsunami. Now, question number 5. What is the view of some experts about the animals? Yes, this also we have come across in the lesson. So let's now have a look at the answer. Some experts believe that animals more have that acute hearing. Because of that, They are able to hear or feel the earth's vibration, and that is how, because they're able to feel the vibration, they can sense that now something terrible is going to happen, some disaster is about to happen. They can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going on. Now, that is the difference between the animals and the humans. Humans come to know after something happens, or when they're able to see something happening, but not so with the animals. They are able to sense much before the natural disaster happens. That is the reason, as we have come across earlier, that human lives are lost, whereas animal lives are not lost. They are able to save themselves. Now, question number 6. How did Tilly Smith save her family from deadly waves? Yes, very interesting. Tilly Smith with her family was celebrating Christmas at a beach in Thailand. So why did she go to Thailand with her family? She went to Thailand to celebrate Christmas. It was Christmas time. She was only 10 years old, a small girl. Yes, she noted the sea flowing towards the beach. She was reminded of a geography lesson and the video of Hawaiian Islands in 1946. So her teacher had shown her a video in geography class about what? About tsunami. And there she saw what is tsunami, how to save when a tsunami happens. And that is the reason, you remember, she became hysterical. She started shouting. She started telling the people to rush to safer places. And that is why she was able to save her own family members, the lives of her own family members, as well as so many other lives. She started shouting to her parents to clear off the beach. To clear off the beach, what does it mean? To run away from there. Her parents heeded her. Heeded her. What is the meaning of heeded her? They listened to her. They all took shelter in the 3rd floor of the hotel and were saved. Because 3rd floor is a height. It's a great height. Obviously, the waves cannot reach the 3rd floor of any building. So, they were very safe there in the 3rd floor of the hotel. Very, very safe they were. Yes. Long answer type questions. The first one. Give a brief account of how the animals saved themselves when the giant waves hit India and Sri Lanka. So how were they able to save themselves when the giant waves hit India and Sri Lanka? Now let's have a look at the answer. This is a long answer type. Remember children, you may get it for 5 marks as a 5 marks question. So let's have a look at the answer now. Before the great waves moved towards the coast in India and Sri Lanka, the wild and domestic animals foresaw the danger. They were able to feel because of the vibration. They were able to feel the vibration. That is the reason they were able to predict. They knew that something is going to happen. Elephants ran for higher ground. Dogs refused to go outdoors. They were not willing to go out of the house. Zoo animals rushed into their shelters. So each and every animal was able to make out that now some disaster is about to happen. This was perhaps because the animals possess a sixth sense, which is very sharp and work as warning during disasters. So not many animals lost their lives in 2004 tsunami, while thousands of people died. They were washed away by the powerful waves of tsunami. Okay, now question number 2, children. What happened to Almas and her family? What happened? Remember the story? Yes. When the tremors came early in the morning, Almas and her family were sleeping. So what were they doing? They were sleeping. Suddenly, Almas's father saw the sea water recede coming towards them. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. As they ran, her grandfather was hit on the head. So what happens? They recede. First they go back, then again come with great force. That is what happened here also in this case. But soon a giant wave came and swept both of them away. Her mother and aunts too were washed away by the mighty waves of what? Waves of tsunami. Almas was somehow saved, but she became the victim of trauma. You know what is trauma? Trauma is a great shock, and it is very difficult for victims of trauma to come out of it, because it is a state of shock, No, it takes time to come out of that shock. First of all, in that trauma, one is not able to understand what happened, why something happened, and what should be done. So, mind refuses to think about all these things. That is the reason so many lives are lost. Okay, children? So, very important questions and answers. Note down, go through all the questions and answers. That's all for this session. Thank you.